put some fucking pants on and go outside and do some shit.
Nothing to do.
There's nothing to do.
Girl, there is nothing to do.
The Sandhills wants to know what time it is. It's time to get ready for the unlimited social scoop. Introducing Nothing to Do, the Sandhills Social Scene Podcast, straight from the Share Studios with your host, Dominique.
I'm so daggone extra. Hey guys, welcome to episode 18 of the Nothing To Do Podcast with your girl Dominique and producer Brian. Oh, wait, y'all can't see him. We're in the Share Studios, and this is brought to you by Cumulus Radio Group, Rock 103. You can catch me every Sunday as your Sunday Fun Day girl, and Q98. You can catch me at Firework Fridays for majority of the Woodpecker season for home games, and Magic 106.9 and WFNC 640 News Talk. So go ahead and like those pages. We appreciate you guys for hanging out. Like, we're on episode 18. I think I should throw a party for 21, but I'll let Brian decide on that. But as you saw, my Art Gallery of Hope is in the up and coming weekly. And the greatest thing about this, big up to Amber Little. She's been on the show before. Her daughter's been on the show. And I just like to support people that are out in the streets supporting other people. And the greatest thing about this week's up and coming is my full page is right next to Sean's full page, who was just on the last week's episode talking about the art attack that's happening probably after you guys get this. But make sure to check it out because it's going to be happening weekly. This week, we've got some more heavy hitters. Of course, I just like to celebrate all of you guys. We've got the Arts Council, and we have a social worker from Cumberland County Schools that's going to come on and talk to us about a prevention walk that's coming up. And we also have a couple of comedians. I know, comedians and poets are my weak spots, but I'm glad you guys are hanging in. So let's get this thing started. It's nothing to do, so they say. So on this episode, number 18, just in case you were wondering again, of the Nothing To Do podcast, we're going to talk about one of my favorite places and all the things they have going on. It was actually the Valentine's dating episode where the two worst daters in America, Brian and myself, got on and talk about ideal dates and stuff like that. Brian, you remember that? Yep, you guys heard him. And I mentioned that one of my favorite places, especially to unwind in the middle of the day, but to take someone to get that quiet time with, is the Arts Council of Fayetteville. And today I have one of the greatest people that I've met today, because it's been a rough day, but he has been a gem. Miles, the director of PR. Hi.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Welcome to the show. So, you're not a Fayetteville native. We talked football a little bit before the show got started. You're a Giants fan.
I absolutely am.
Okay,
Yeah.
So are you a New Jersey Giants fan or a New York Giants fan?
I'm a New York Giants fan.
So you're not from New Jersey?
No. I'm from Brooklyn originally.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
Giants and Knicks. So I'm very happy with basketball right now.
I bet you are.
You know?
Well, I'm an Eagles fan, so this is going to go pretty quick.
Man. Yeah, we could just not talk about football.
Okay, perfect. But you went to Jack Britt?
I did.
Okay. And what year did you come out of there?
2012.
2012?
So, yeah.
And then you went on to do a lot of amazing, great things. And so North Carolina can now claim you?
1,000%. And even before I moved down here, Fayetteville had a really special place in my heart because my mom's side of the family was from here. So would visit, but just it's nice to be here and be able to come back and, do what I do with an organization like the Arts Council and just be engaged in the arts community here.
And you went to Wake Forest, correct?
Yep.
So what did you graduate with, or what degree did you get there?
Yeah, I did communications with the focus in media.
Okay. Mine was communication with a focus on radio and television production.
Right
so there. Not really, because it's behind the scenes.
So was it behind the scenes in the sense of producing and things like that? I gotcha, yeah.
But the last few years, can't get away from these damn cameras.
They just keep popping up.
They keep popping up. It's like every time you try to get out, they pull you right back in. So what was your thoughts that you were going to do with your communications degree?
Yeah. To be honest with you, when I got to school, I was just very generally like, I'm gonna go do business. I don't know what that meant. It just sounded really good.
Everybody.
Out of high school, yeah, I was like, I sound like business people make some money, I guess. I don't know. And I got there, I just started taking some comm classes just with some of my general ed requirements, and they were just really engaging. And went from just general things that had nothing to do with media, like relational communications, like how people relate with one another, kind of fringing on sociology, but eventually I got to my film studies class.
Ooh.
And it was just so fun to be able to go watch movies and then write an essay about them, and that was our work. So that was kind of how it started. Then I took another one, then it led to like media ethics, and then just long story short, I ended up talking to one of my professors my last year there, and he was like, hey, we have a documentary film program, you should just come check it out. So did that, and that's how I kind of got into the whole film world. So just media became very naturally, just in the process of like interest as I was taking classes. Then eventually I was like, hey, I could just make a major out of this. So we're just gonna stick with it.
So what led you to wanting to apply at the Arts Council?
Yeah. So I came back to Fayetteville in 2022.
Okay.
Thinking that whole like 21, 22 is just like a blur. It felt like one year. I'm telling you, there was a lot going on. I was in Charlotte doing work in the film industry, and then I saw some opportunities here in Fayetteville. So I came on back and was really just looking for ways to engage with art. So first it was just teaching visual arts at Morganton Road Elementary. I did some work like that during my master's program, so I just knew how to like lesson plan and stuff. And then eventually I saw this position pop up with the PR and marketing, and that again was really just at the core of what I was doing in school, in grad school, and just even some side projects. I was getting away from like being hands-on with the cameras of things and moving more to like producing, getting more engaged with the budgets to make sure that the people who were like hyper specific with cinematography, set design, and whatever they might be in their niches, like could have money to shine with what they did. So I kind of realized that I was good in that space of like pulling those things together and just letting people know what's going on. So it just kind of seemed like a really good intersection of what I enjoy doing and just a place where there seems to be a need where I can really offer that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I wanted to work at Arts Council because you guys have the best snacks. No, I don't sneak back there and take them, but you guys.
But hey.
And as soon as you guys switch from Coke to Pepsi product, I won't be there as much, but I love it.
There's always there.
But one thing, I was talking to a friend and he's like, well, Fayetteville doesn't give us money to do art projects. And I'm like, don't say that. You guys have tons of grants.
Absolutely.
Workshops to give people to apply for the grants and to have them, like, once they receive the grant, like, you guys are very hands-on with your artists.
Yeah.
So I did mention that maybe we should have like a little kickback.
Yeah, I love that idea. Thank you for being a voice for us in that way of saying, hey, it's there. The opportunity.
One day I'm gonna get one, guys. I just want you to know it's gonna happen.
Speaking into the existence.
Absolutely.
Right now.
You guys also have art in schools.
We do.
Which
Artists in schools is awesome.
Amazing. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So basically, this is another one of our initiatives to really capacity build, both with the artists who are the teaching artists, but also giving exposure to students in Cumberland County schools. And this is really just an opportunity where we give, depending on the budget of the artist that's selected, we give up to $1,000 for a school to bring an artist in to do a performance. Some of them can do residencies for some of the older groups with like, when it comes to things like photography or film. Actually, I don't think there's any film. I think there's just photography with that, but a variety of different things that they can do to just give an exposure to arts that kids might not otherwise receive. One big one that I know is just a hit with the kids is a guy named Troy. He has this program called the Number Drummers, and they basically combine math and music to really get the kids engaged, and they basically have a concert by the time they leave that performance. So
awesome.
The kids getting drumsticks and hitting on like garbage cans and stuff, like just brings out joy in them. So but it's cool when the intersection of that fun can also have like a learning moment too. So I think that artists in school is really a good opportunity for people to do that and just give their kids something different,
So as PR of the Arts Council, what are some of your favorite things about the building in general? The things that you guys have going on? Just like talk to me, guys.
Yeah. Honestly, the exhibits for me, it's just so cool. Today I was speaking with a lady, Arena. She's going to be doing our side gallery, a local artist spotlight gallery. And she has this form of art it's not hers, but she uses it in her work. It's called hanji, and it's just basically this type of paperwork. And it's just, she gave us a really like Spark Notes edition of it in our meeting a couple of weeks ago. But now to finally like hear the history of it and then see the work actually going up and speaking with her is awesome. Our exhibit right now in Yielding Sonder is just one where you look anywhere in the space and you see some work. It could be hanging from the air, hanging from the ceiling. You can see it in statues on the bottom, just paintings actually on the wall. So it's cool to just be in a space where, you know, when I leave my office and walk into the gallery, just there's art all over.
It's so, there's like a relaxing hum that comes over me whenever I cross those big red doors.
Yeah.
And when I worked at Cool Spring, or even when I worked at Exit Realty, shout out Edric, I would just go across the street, and I think it's such a gem, and that a lot of people need to just go and see the exhibits because there's a lot of banging work.
Absolutely.
Like, did you get to see the Hoodlin Mania?
Oh man, that's personally been one of my favorites. That was like before I got there, but just as a resident, it was so dope to get in there and see how they were able to just take over the space and just turn it into their own. You know, the marketing behind that was so cool. Like, I still have my little mailer that I received just because, again, it becomes one of those things. I'm just like, this is a cool little piece of art that I could just put up on the fridge and just, you know, have there. And so, yeah, that was definitely a gem of an exhibit.
Remember, I was telling you before we started recording that I have the Art Gallery of Hope with Kids Feast coming up.
Yeah.
And Brandon is actually donating a piece for the art gallery. So I'm really excited about that. And just to hear that you guys are like, he supports you guys as well.
Yes.
From all the way in California.
I'm saying, and like super random story with him too. When Our People was wrapping up, I just, again, out of left field, I had a chance to meet his grandfather, and I just told him, you know, your grandson's exhibit was incredible. It was cool to see him come back as a juror and, again, stay engaged. And he flew from LA to Fayetteville just for that opening weekend. And, you know, we just got into a conversation. He was like, oh, well, do you want one of these? Like, one of Brandon's work? I was like, oh, no, I'm good. He's like, no, I've got a bunch in the garage. I'll bring them. I'm not thinking anything of it. And maybe like a week or two later, I was like just randomly having like a busy day, a lot of stuff going on, even outside of work. And out of nowhere, one of our coworkers, Carly, was like, hey, Brandon's grandfather just came by. He just left you a piece of Brandon's work. And I was just like, man, I got the same vibe from Brandon talking to him, and that same thing from his grandfather. So just good people. And I'm glad that Brandon stays so engaged with Fayetteville the way that he does.
Awesome. And I will say, you mentioned another name that I love. I just love everybody that works in your building, from Miss Barbara to sometimes Antonio. Shout out Antonio. To Carly, Sarah, Mikey, like all of them. Like, you have amazing staff at your work with.
Yeah, Michael said he was on the show before. I love that.
And he's like, oh, I don't really know how to do podcasts. And then the cameras goes. He's like, just like complete like takeover. He's amazing. And I also did vagina monologues with him. And that was my first time acting. So that was great. So your office is just dope. And speaking of how dope your office is, you guys have a big celebration coming up soon, right?
We do. We're celebrating 50 years.
Jeez.
So I know. And so this year has just been jam-packed with different activities, but our big one, our actual celebration, is on June 6th. It's called 50 Years of Color. And it's going to be at Cape Fear Botanical Gardens. And we're just coming out to celebrate, again, these last 50 years of being able to be of service to the community with arts as a vehicle for that. And it's a ticketed event, so we have general and VIP tickets, but just there's gonna be food, music, and just good vibes all around. A chance to just, you know, it's not your Sunday best, but, you know, just dress the nine, so to speak, and have some fun and just network with people and just really take in that moment.
So without like giving us too much, because it is a ticketed event, like, what kind of vibe are you guys curating?
Yeah.
Can you tell me any of that? Like, what do I expect when I go? Because you know,
I'm gonna be honest with you. This is just like me be like the I know that it's not quite like quote unquote formal, but it's definitely one of those things where you could tell people are gonna be dressing up to the theme. Again, is 50 years of color, so I'm just expecting pops of color. Yeah, our color palette is a little bit different than what our actual branding is. So again, it's a little bit more spring feeling. So I can only imagine what they do with the actual space. But I don't have all the details in the sense of that vibe in that way, but I just know, again, live music, good food around, an eclectic mix of food. Okay. So just something where you can come in and just be able to just express your own individuality, but also just how it falls into the landscape of all the different people here in Fayetteville, because we got a lot of different personalities, a lot of different backgrounds, and yeah.
That's fine. Keep your secrets from me, Miles. You don't have to tell me anything. That's cool. So when do tickets go on sale for this?
They are on sale currently. They'll be, and we're just going until they're sold out. So the event is June 6th. If June 5th there's still something there, we'll still be available. Okay. Yeah.
So stop procrastinating and get my ticket.
They are moving right now. Okay. So absolutely. I would definitely go ahead and get them.
Oh, you guys know how I am about procrastination. The destination. So
I've never heard that
one. You also have another exhibit coming up that I got a chance to participate in last year, the Public Works with PwC.
Yes.
Now, the reason why this one is my favorite, because it allows people that wouldn't necessarily put their work or have enough work to make an exhibit out of, it allows them a chance to put their work out there.
Absolutely.
So typically how many people are y'all going to have?
Yeah. Sure. Man, I feel like I've heard one number that I heard in the past was around like 75 different works, but just again, it becomes the number of people that submit, because this is usually an exhibit too, where they don't take bigger pieces. It's usually just something like, I don't remember the exact spec limit, but it's just limited so that you can get more into the space and just make sure people have the space to come in and exhibit and just let their work shine, you know, come out and celebrate what they do. So, but 2D and 3D mediums, any age can submit. We've had people like posting on commenting on our Facebook and calling in about age. You know, if you're a 8-year-old with the guardian that can submit, like that is, we accept it, you know. Yeah. So it's just really a chance just to shine a spotlight on the community and let them come on in and kind of take some of the intimidation that might be like put around being in a gallery and just try to like take that down as much as we can. Because
putting my work next to a Lauren Falls, a Michelle E Falls, or Colin, like just putting my work near there is like, it's so intimidating. But it's, again, that feel of community and community art that makes that one particular exhibit just like phenomenal.
Absolutely. And our sponsor with PwC in the city of Fayetteville, they're always very, very good with being able to come and support that. And again, it's really just for, it's not directly branded in this way, but it's like those folks who call themselves an artist, well, know that they're artists, but are afraid to call themselves an artist. It's like, if you make art, you can put it up, you know what I mean? And again, it's just, there have been stories of, you know, for example, Onikia, she was one of the people who, I don't remember if she actually won or was one of the honorable mentions, but, you know, her getting that experience in there opened up the door to her seeing all the other things that we can do. And she actually had a chance to exhibit her work in our local artist spotlight gallery earlier. And she ended up selling some work through that. And so it was just really cool to see those stories of somebody who, again, just submitting through Public Works, getting engaged with the Arts Council, and then seeing how they can further their art career. And I know that she, you know, she really got a kick out of that. So just, again, I wish I could have been around for the Public Works side of that, rather than just the end of it. But just, again, seeing the trajectory of that tells us that it's an important space to just make sure people feel comfortable with sharing.
It is, because sometimes our artwork is like so personal. Like it's, I have about 20 pieces hanging up in my house that unless you come over, you're not going to see, because I'm not ready to let those out yet. But that one was really, really good because it helped me come out of a dark space. And just to have my stuff there, Lauren Falls and Ashanti Bennett kind of twisted my arm to do it. But, you know, if you don't have friends that pressure you to do good things, then are they really good friends? So I finally did that, and it was a great feeling. It really was.
I'm happy that you submitted. Yeah.
Don't know if I can do this year.
I'm about to say.
I'm gonna try. If it's a little something, but I just want to make sure, just because there's so many great artists in the city, I want to make sure that it's up on that level.
Absolutely.
And we're our toughest critics. So
completely.
Do you art?
I do, for fun.
For fun?
Absolutely. And my big thing is like filmmaking, but I still enjoy visual arts. I still enjoy making music. I'm somebody who just tries to make time for that, because even if it's not professional, I just think it's an important part of like who I am and things that I've enjoyed since I was a kid. So again, this is where it's fun to get into a space where I can offer some of the more like quote unquote professional skills to help artists see, okay, yeah, like there's a real trajectory here. If you want to become a professional in these things, if you just want to keep it as a hobby, but just maybe looking for some money to be able to just express what your ideas are, all of these different things that you can do to really share your love for whatever art that you do. There's a space for us to be able to like spotlight that.
So there are grants for you guys. There are grants, money for all of you artists that are out there.
Indeed.
And could you tell them where they can like follow Arts Council on the socials?
Absolutely. We are Faye Arts Council on Instagram, and then just the Arts Council of Fayetteville, Cumberland County on Facebook. And if you just go to theartscouncil.com, you can get to anything that you would need to with regards to our exhibits, grants, artists and schools, any kind of programs that we have. Just that's the place to go there and be the home base for resources.
Cool. So there's no excuse, guys. And whenever I find out when Miles wants to have this kickback so we can all talk about grants and have a beverage or two, I will let you guys know. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And we'll see you guys soon. We got more guests for you. Bye. All right, episode 18 of the Nuthin To Do podcast. And as you saw before, we love the arts. The arts help us with our mental health in certain ways. And Miles is like so great about explaining out how it helps him a little bit. And y'all know I've been preaching about it since day one. Our next guest is going to talk to us about the importance of Mental Health Awareness Month and what we've got going on for that. And if you know me, you know that there's a couple of things I ride for: food, live music, Cumberland County School Systems. I am a product of Cumberland County School Systems. Volunteering in our youth, in no particular order, but food is pretty high up there. I want to welcome to the show Dr. Cromartie. Hi, boo. Welcome.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Like, you do so much, and like I appreciate social workers and counselors because I'm still not there yet.
Right.
I want to be there, but I'm not there yet. I know what I'm capable of handling.
Right.
So like, yeah, I look up to you.
Thank you so much. You've helped me a lot, even with what I do, with giving back to my school. So even though you say you're not a social worker or a counselor in your own self, like you are that person for the community. And I appreciate you and thank you for what you've done for my particular school in Cumberland County. So
of course. So you still have Miss Flora McLean there?
Yeah.
I love her. Okay, I'll call you later, TT. So what brought you, like, what's your story? What's your journey?
So no one has ever really asked me why. But with a counselor, I believe that it takes a certain person. I believe that you're just born into it versus it's something that you become. It takes a special person to be a counselor, and what we give and our characteristics. You have to be someone who is helpful, kind. It was best to be someone that's helpful, kind, and that has just like a different heart than like your normal, you know? And also confidentiality is key. And so those are the things that make me who I am. A little bit about my backstory. I believe when I was younger, I remember being on the bed with a family member, someone that I really looked up to. And the family member had an episode while I was in the room and set the mattress on fire. And so at that point, as a child, I really did not understand like what is going on with this person that I love so much, and why would this person, take this action with me being in the room. And this is something I've actually never told before. But I remember that being like the first onset where I was like curious as to like how can I help the one that I actually love. So yes.
And then you're from here, are you?
Yes, I am.
Let's talk about this.
I went to Cape Fear High School.
Okay,
So
you're
I'm
on
from
the
the
river.
country. And so I'm from Stedman, North Carolina, which is still Cumberland County.
Yes.
And so I think my push came from, and I do apologize. I think my push came from the school that I was in, also the elementary all the way up into middle school. I was like the only African American in the classroom from being the area that I'm from. And it kind of gave me a push because I wanted to not compete, but I knew I was different. You know, I knew I was different, but I knew that who I was going to school with, they were my family, but I always knew that I was different, of course. And so I always had to do a lot more to kind of stay in the game and stay up with, you know, keep up with my grades and things of that nature than my peers at the time. And so the positive is that it gave me a push that if I was, you know, amongst people that look just like me, I don't know if I would have had the challenges that I, you know, had during that stage of my life. So
I definitely get it. I remember when I was playing Mac Williams when I went to Douglasburg Middle, and we were playing soccer, and we were riding in our little activity bus, and I was like,
you went where again? I'm sorry.
Mac Williams. I was like,
I was the first eighth grader at Mac Williams. That's
like,
crazy.
Cornfield. And they were like, girl,
Yes,
we are not in the middle of the city anymore.
Yes.
But no, like, I know that you guys are very, very competitive.
Oh,
out
yes.
there, sports, cheering.
Right.
Your cheerleaders hated our cheerleaders. But it was always fun and games. And when we see each other now, it's like, you kind of tip your hat, because it's like, if we weren't competitive against each other, we wouldn't be where we are.
Exactly.
So that's a dope story. Where did you go to college?
I went to So
All the college.
yeah.
Doctor.
Oh my gosh. So going back, so I was at Cape Fear High School. I actually graduated in the 11th grade. At that time I went to Fayetteville State University. I was 16 years old when I went to Fayetteville State as a freshman. My major was biology and chemistry, and I graduated a 4-year degree within 2 years. And I did that by taking like extra classes, going to summer school and things of that nature. So I actually had my bachelor's degree. I was turning 19. And so I was 19 years old. So that was Fayetteville State University. I went to UNC. I graduated from UNC Charlotte.
Okay.
And I also graduated from Capella University.
Okay.
So I have my master's. Yeah.
Like, see, I did East Carolina, and then I went online at Fayetteville State.
Okay.
And now I've got my eyes on Pembroke's MSW program.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I'm just looking.
Oh, that's amazing.
I hope my mom doesn't watch this episode, because I'm telling y'all the truth. I'm just looking. If my mom asks, I applied. We gotta let them know. We all gotta be on the same sheet, guys. If peaches come after you, I applied. Thank you.
Right.
So you always knew that you wanted to help people that you love?
Right.
So what made you want to come into the school systems?
The school system. Wow. I remember there as a small child, and graduating from Cape Fear High School, the person that impacted me the most was like, of course, certain teachers, but it was like my guidance counselor. At that time, it was called guidance counselor, but now the term is school counselor. Okay. And so my guidance counselor at the time, it was because of her that I really, I knew mental health was my thing, but I also wanted the best of both worlds. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I received my school counselor's degree from UNC Charlotte. Mm-hmm. And so it's just something that is a part of me. I am the parent away, the parent away from home type situation. I'm the advocate away from home. I really love the high school, middle school. This is my first year with all of the years that I've have been a counselor. This is my first year with elementary. So
And I love them. So there's no knock on you guys as middle and high schoolers. It's the elementary school for me. And when I go back, that's where I'm aiming. They're so sweet.
Also, with being the only African American, like in my classroom setting for my elementary school years, I also, just looking back, I also knew that, well, now I know, I didn't know at that time, but I suffered from ADHD. And so I'm also an advocate for kids who have ADHD. And that's like my specialty as well. So.
And there's so many things that we were not misdiagnosed with.
Right.
I was talking to my mom the other day, and she was like, "So you never had asthma, huh?" And I was like, "No, girl, I was having panic attacks the whole time."
Right.
And I feel like it's more as technology progress, is when we find out what we're really like going through, what we went through, and how we can help others. And again, that's another reason why I'm really huge into advocating for kids, because they might not, we're so quick to say, "Oh, that kid bad."
Right.
Some are, but not the majority, because they're going through something that they don't know or their parents don't know about. So it's really cool that you advocate for ADHD or ADD, whichever we want to throw.
Right. And a lot of like our culture, we tend to say, we don't want to label our kids, and we tend to think that if they need counseling, that like you don't need counseling, just pray about it. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Oh, there's nothing wrong with you, go to your room. Like,
you need the Bible.
Right. But what I try to convey now is, as parents or as a community, we go to the emergency room, we go to the dentist, and I know this is repetitive because I say this all the time. We go to the emergency room, the dentist, we go to see about our illnesses as far as diabetes, cancer, things of that nature. But the one thing that we should pay attention to, we actually put on the back burner because we don't want to be labeled as crazy. And so, which I don't like that terminology, because the mind is just as important as, us going to the dentist. It's another type of illness. So, and it controls everything about us. It controls how we treat each other. It controls how we think, how we process. And so when we as a culture, when we just like do away with our mind and what's going on with our mind, it kind of sets us back as a people, and as a generation. And so now the reason why we have so many mental health awareness festivals and things, now the churches are open to it, is because like we want to make sure that everything is aligned, mind, body, and spirit. And so you can't just sit around and just, okay, your body is feeling a certain type of way and not understand that that has something to do with, your mental state as well.
Yeah. I also learned that a lot of times where my body and my stomach will like tense up and I can't eat and I'm throwing up, well, it's because of the anxiety.
Exactly.
And so like when it comes down to Mental Health Awareness Month, I try to advocate as much as I can. I got my degree from Fayetteville State in psychology.
Okay.
Because I was just trying to move
you
towards.
You have a great background.
And radio and television production, psychology, and hopefully MSW.
Wow, amazing.
But because I've seen so many of my peers not be able to hold on to the mental health aspect. We've lost so many. And I never knew what I could do. Maybe one day I can have a mental health talk show. Producer Brian has Wellness Wednesdays.
Oh,
and,
really? That's amazing.
And a couple of the guys get together. They hash out their feelings on certain topics.
That's great.
But it's like, I wish that I could have known all the things back then. Especially shout out to Wendy Paroli. Wendy Paroli is the reason why hundreds of kids are still alive in Cumberland County.
Wow.
I will put that on everything.
Wow.
She was our guidance counselor, and like even in my adult life, I can reach out to her and be like, "Hey, I'm down." Because even though we smile and we walk through life, we look good, you know, sometimes we're not feeling good.
Right.
And suicide is a thing. I know, I'm quick to tell you, I've been through it.
Same.
Glad I failed. As a perfectionist, that's the only thing I'm glad I failed at. Oh yeah, that and my engagement. Those are the only two things that I'm glad that I failed at. But it's like, I wish I had a little bit more or the words for it at that young age.
Right.
And so you guys with Cumberland County and everyone are having a suicide prevention or awareness prevention walk this Saturday.
This Saturday, May the 4th, is actually my birthday.
Yay,
so I'm doing this this is like serving the community. That's my thing for my birthday. And so Cumberland County Schools will be at Festival Park. Of course, that's 335 Ray Avenue, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28301. From 8 to 11 o'clock. So it's great to be there before 8. If you would like to walk, because you want to get, be prepared and things of that nature. But the walk is a suicide walk, and you would be able to represent those who have passed due to suicide. If you know someone, a family member, even if you're 60 years old and you know someone back when you were in high school, you just want to do it for the memorial of that person, and just to try to help bring awareness and decrease the number of the suicide rate right now. Of course, Cumberland County Schools, we don't put out exactly how many students. It's not broadcast because they're minors, but there are more cases than we should have in regards to kids taking their lives due to suicide. So we want to make sure that we have a great time. It's a family event, food trucks, games, great music. So please. Oh, and there will be at least like 50 vendors. So instead of trying to figure out which vendor and call around town, around Fayetteville to figure out which vendor is perfect for yourself or your child, you're able to actually come. And it's like live. You could talk to the different vendors and be able to say, oh, wait, I really like this, this, and then actually set an appointment and things of that nature. You want to make sure your child is being seen over the summer in preparation for the next year.
Because it was hard during COVID for these children.
Oh, yes.
Like when I taught last year, I saw it. I was like, okay, so what makes us as adults want to isolate was just as scary for our kids. Right. And so, again, let's advocate for it. Let's get them out there. Let's play some games. Brian, you want to walk? Friday, waking up that early on a Saturday. But at least you're doing your part by editing this and making us look good. Her especially. So after you leave that, your birthday is a whole thing, a whole community thing. Right. So you have another event after that.
So 11 o'clock it ends. I'm going to make sure I help with breakdown. Hopefully that will end by 12 o'clock. At 1 o'clock, I will be at Kiwanis Rec Center, and that is a mental health and wellness symposium. And so a lot of amazing speakers within our very own county will be present. And it's from 1 and it ends at 4:30. Okay. And so it's going to be amazing.
Cool. So if there's anything else that you have going on at the end or close to the middle or end of May, let me know. Okay. Well, I want to be involved. I'm going to try my best to be there by 8. But other than that, I'll be there by breakdown. I'll tell you that. Okay. It's been a very crazy and hectic week. But no, we really appreciate you for coming on. But before you leave, we want to talk about Cromartie Cares.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what is it all about besides you caring?
Okay, besides me caring, I actually provide substance abuse and addictions services. So a lot of people get addiction mixed up. Addiction can be like from I want to say sex addiction, cheating, like whatever that person is addicted to, like I can actually see them and diagnose them and actually see them one-on-one. Substance abuse to include nicotine, so cigarettes, of course, marijuana, opioid addiction, things of that nature. So that's what Cromartie Cares specialize in, but we actually give back to the community and provide the community with resources as well. And so when you see me trying to collect shoes and I'm doing that on behalf of Cromartie Cares.
Okay.
Even like last summer, a couple of teachers were going to be evicted because it's hard for them in the summer because they're not working. We were able to raise money in order to make sure that they actually kept their housing and things of that nature. So it's just providing resources for the community as well.
Cool. So where can people find information about Cromartie Cares?
Well, I have my own website, so cromartiecares.com, as well as you can find Cromartie Cares on Facebook as well if you just research Google Cromartie Cares.
Well, Brian's gonna put that up for us.
Okay.
We put Brian at work. Well, I want to thank you out. Happy birthday. I will see you at some point on May 4th. It's okay to ask. Come on out. Let's raise awareness. Let's protect our kids. And most importantly, let's also protect ourselves.
Yes.
So, next segment coming up soon, episode 18 of the Nuthin To Do podcast.
Thank you.
All right, episode 18. Yes, 1-8 of the Nuthin To Do podcast. And, being from Fayetteville, everybody's had their homes shaken once or twice by the bombs on Fort Braggarty. But you know what? That's no joking matter. But some of the funniest people we have in our lives are veterans. And I am blessed to be sitting beside two of the funniest in the biz. Hi, we got RJ and Dennis. Dennis is a return person or repeat offender.
Can we use the R word like that?
Yeah.
Can we?
Return.
Okay. I thought you were using a French accent.
No. So welcome to the show. You guys got a show coming up soon, but we've talked about you, Dennis. Briefly tell the people who you are and how you came about being a comedian in town.
In town. Okay,
Shortly.
yeah, shortly. That's at my height, everything is short. Yes. Thank you so much for that one.
There's definitely tension right here.
No.
Welcome to being in the middle.
Remember, I was like, "What should I know?" You're like, "Don't worry about it."
So back to the matter at hand.
Yeah.
How I got into comedy? Well, I'm a 20-year vet, retired out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina. It will always be Fort Bragg.
Not Fort Brevity.
Not Fort Brevity, no. And I had started comedy way back in 2001. 9/11 happened. I thought I'd do a quick turnaround in the Army, go back to comedy. 20 years later, I wound up in Fort Liberty. And it was still there. That itch was there. And that's how I slowly got back into it. I met RJ on the scene through a mutual friend of ours, Cedric. He was one of the guys that brought the scene to Fayetteville. And here we are.
So RJ, where are you from?
I'm from Southern California.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the military brought you to the East Coast?
No. I got out in 2011. I was like the worst soldier there ever was. I did everything wrong. I had a lot of fun though. I got into comedy because the military they don't know how to take a joke. No, I got out of the military in 2011. I had a couple of like random jobs here and there. I think the first job I had, I went straight into the cannabis industry. Just because I was like, dude, if we're going to go opposite of the military, let's go into weed. So I went into that. I got into politics for a little bit and then went into corporate America. I was a financial advisor for the cannabis industry for like 8 months. and I hated corporate America. I hated civilian life really, and then I'm like, if I'm gonna be in this, if I'm not gonna be doing cool shit, I should be doing cool shit. So I'm like, if I'm gonna shoot for anything, I'm just gonna go for what I love. And I went to a comedy show at the Irvine Improv, and I saw a dude getting laughs after laugh after laugh. Like this guy was killing. And I wasn't laughing. I was just sitting there like, dude, I know what he's doing. Like I'm like recognizing time. Like I can see what he's trying to do here. I'm like, if I have a brain that like can recognize like what this guy's trying to do, I'm like, maybe I can do it. And so I just got into it. I tried it, and I was not as good as I thought I was going to be at all. Like it's a lot harder than it looks. I was just like, oh wow, okay. But I'm like, if it's difficult, it's kind of like right up my alley. I always like trying to do things that are damn near impossible. So I got into it, just stuck with it. And it really is like a drug, dude. It's addicting. I mean, once you get up and you have a good set, there's no leaving that behind you.
So what brought you to North Carolina area?
I was doing comedy full time out in LA and Orange County, California, pretty much like anywhere from like San Diego all the way up to like San Luis Obispo. And I left in 2016. I came out here to start a company with my family. So my family's out here in North Carolina. So I kind of like walked away from comedy for like 3 years to do that. And then once I got like that up to the point where it was almost like autonomous and like doing its own thing, I was like, all right, I have to go back into comedy. And I didn't know anyone out here. So like I just went to the comedy club in downtown Raleigh and started like, going to their mics and just introducing myself and just getting back in the swing of things, and things just kind of picked up from there again. So I still go out to California like 3-4 times a year to do shows, but I like being in North Carolina, man. It's a great place to get good, and practice. I mean, everyone out here takes comedy very seriously. I mean, some of them don't. I'm not going to say everyone, but some of them. But for the most part, there's actually a pretty healthy scene out here.
So now that we've started over,
Have we? I was there being quiet, and you brought that up. Because let's be correct. If you're going to thank anyone about being dark in America, it should be Christopher Columbus.
Anyways, so on this episode, we're going to be talking about you guys. We've already talked about a little bit about how you got into comedy and your show May 11th. Go ahead and just reiterate. People need to come out May 11th. Why? Who's going to be performing? Who's doing what?
So we have a show May 11th at VFW 670 out on Doc Bennett Road. With Drew Hernandez. He's a military touring comic, also known as a combat veteran. I'll be hosting. RJ's going to be featuring. Definitely going to be a good time. It's a big room. It's like a 300-person room.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
300-person room. Yeah. And, the good thing is that it's 300 veterans or affiliate, people affiliated with that community, that they have a different perspective when it comes to humor. So it gives us the ability to, or the freedom, which we fought for so bravely, to say what we want and how we want. So as long as there's a right way, there is always a wrong way to say things, as we know with episode 18. 18.5.
18 was rough, guys.
We got in trouble.
I'm going to say 18 was really, really rough. But that's why we have 18.5, just for you guys specifically.
That's going to be the lost archive.
We're going to burn that. Like, it's going to be just like the movie Inglourious Basterds. We're going to put it all in a theater, and we're just going to burn it. It's going to be great. So why do you guys prefer to do the shows? Well, other than, of course, you get to not censor yourself with the veterans, but like, are there other types of shows that you don't have to censor yourself for, or you just feel like you're with your community in this one?
I would say like if you're doing comedy, like to some degree, you're always going to be censoring yourself. I mean, you just have to be funny. That's really just the one rule. It's just wherever you go, there's always going to be differentiating aspects of funny. So like it depends on the audience. You have to get a good feel for your audience. And I don't know about anyone else, but I love performing for veterans or anyone military affiliated because they have great senses of humor, and it's not just for like the dark humor. It's for, I get to do jokes about my time in the military or, hanging out with people who are affiliated with the military. And it just seems like more of a fun show rather than just, performing for people that probably don't even really have a lot in common with. So it's always fun to perform for people that I get along great with.
Was there a time that you've done a show where you're just like, I don't mesh well with these people?
Ooh, yeah, like a lot.
What?
Don't say it.
Which
Say
one?
it. Say it. Which one?
The Cree show at the brewery.
Oh my God.
What? Backstory.
I performed for 4 people in a brewery one time, and this producer was this guy was so adamant. He goes, "You're gonna do your best material. No one's gonna do jokes for the first time. You're gonna bring your A game." And I was like, "This guy sounds legit." And then I get to the show, and there's 4 people in this brewery, and like they're in different corners of this building, and they don't want to be like, they don't know there's gonna be comedy. So I did jokes, hearing my jokes echo off the walls of an empty brewery. I think there was like a mom with her daughter.
Usually, yeah.
Yeah, and it was just dead silent. And I did my A game, like my best material,
Yeah.
to pure silence. So that was one that was one of many.
The reason I remember was because I had done a show for Kareem previously, and I was like, yo, you got to get this dude RJ on it, because you had just done Sweet Palette. You got to get RJ on here. He is funny, blah, blah. And then RJ tells me, yeah, he's never going to call me.
I'm never going to work with that guy again, though. No.
How long ago was that?
Oh,
That was a while. That was over a year ago.
You still haven't worked with them?
I think I saw him one time, and he just said, "Hey, RJ." And I was just like, "What's your name again?"
What about you, Dennis?
oh, number one, I love ambush comedy.
Oh yeah, that's what it's called.
Ambush comedy. I did one at, what's that town up by Charlotte? Pineville, is it? Pinetown? Anyway, I went to Charlotte. I was invited, which I drove from Savannah to do this show because it was a big show. He was like, "This good. It's like a 100+ room seating." I'm like, "Bet." I walk in. It's a Mexican restaurant.
But it's 100+ seating.
100+ seating. Now, I can't make this up. There was this girl in the front. She was like 8 years old. It was a birthday party, and this dude setting up mics and everything, and she's looking at her mother like, "Mommy, what's going on?" And I apologized to her. I'm like, "I'm sorry you had to learn all about sex and things."
Yeah.
It was pretty bad. Yeah, I've had a few. I had one not too long ago in Fayetteville that almost led me to alcoholism. That was pretty good too. Yeah, you're gonna have a few. You should have a few. It's a good humbling experience because sometimes you'll have 3 or 4 great shows and you're like, "Oh, I could walk in anywhere with this." No, you can't.
I think the difference is like, if you're performing for, let's say, like a veteran crowd, they're going there to have fun.
Yeah.
In addition to laugh. Like in other times you walk in and the crowd's like, "Well, like I'm safe to be cracked. Like you should try and make me laugh," and they try and like hold back, but military guys just let it out.
So that's the whole thing. When you do like a VFW show, any military show, there's that. You don't have to try to find a backstory or who relates to you.
Yeah.
Everyone does. In a comedy show, you got guys that like, one type of comedy, and you got people like another type of comedy. And this guy's like, "Well, he's not funny because," so you got all these people looking for you to be everyone's comedian. And it doesn't always work that way. You're good, but.
So, what are you looking forward to on this BFW show?
So, number one is it's my first time really performing for military community.
Okay.
Minus the veteran show we did. That was a good show. At Good Nights.
Good Nights Comedy Club.
Yeah, that was good.
fun.
What was that? Talk to me.
That was Veterans Day.
Yeah, the Good Nights gave me a Veterans Day showcase. It was on Veterans Day, so I got all the comics in North Carolina that I could find that have military background, and I let them perform. And I think it was like 6 or 7 of us on that show.
Yeah, it was Mitch Fowler. It was Slim, Aaron Ransom. It was you, of course, myself.
We even had a guest spot from a Marine guy.
Yeah.
That was the Marine Corps.
Yeah,
it was a
good.
bunch of us. It was really fun.
So, like, all of you guys didn't gang up on the Marine guy?
There's definitely a level of trash talking involved when it
There
comes
is.
to like cross branch rivalry. But everyone's on the same team. So
We did gang up on Aaron Ransom when we had him pound that Rip It before he got on stage.
yeah.
What is this thing with the Rip It?
It's an enlisted thing for
So
sure.
so if you go overseas, there's no Red Bulls, no Monsters. The only thing you could find were Whippets. Now, it is nothing but caffeine and sugar.
It's cracking.
It is cracking a can. I personally myself, when I was in Ranger Regiment, I would make space in my kit for Whippets, so you could drink on a helicopter before you went into an objective. And the only place you could find Whippets here is Dollar Tree.
I've seen them in Dollar Tree.
Yeah. So I bought one and I took it to the show. Aaron Ransom was already drinking a Monster.
Yeah, so we're like, we're not letting you on stage until you chug this Rip It and this like
There's a video
tequila.
floating.
We gave him like 4 tequila shots or something like that. But Aaron Ransom is one of the only comics I know where you can try and sabotage that guy, but no matter what, he's going to gonna kill it.
He's like
amazing.
Godzilla with nuclear power. They're like, we're gonna kill him. We're gonna kill him with the nuclear bomb, just make him stronger. Yeah, that doesn't work with Aaron.
So at that show, you guys had, you said like 6 or so veterans. Is it common to be on the set list with a lot of veterans?
Not really, no. I mean, there's very few and far between comics that have military background.
You know what? It seems like that, but the more, like, there are comics I didn't know that were veterans, like Stephanie Denise, she was a veteran.
Okay.
Tim King's a veteran.
Yeah.
He was on the show. That's what.
Yeah, that was the other one.
So they just not in one place. The biggest concentration I've seen has been here in Fayetteville because of Fort Bragg.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Marcus Gray Slim. We had Cedric, the poetry side of the house. So there's a lot of talent that's veterans, just not as one thing.
Okay. So let's backtrack to your show on May 4th.
Yes. I'm doing a show on May 4th at the downtown Fayetteville Market. Is that right?
Downtown Market of Fayetteville.
I'm dyslexic. I apologize. A lot of people are thrown off because it's like a flower store and organic foods, but they have a huge banquet room that holds about 100 people. And with this show, they're going to get charcuterie, that's Lunchables, and alcohol and comedy.
Okay. So they're going to have what?
Charcuterie.
Oh, okay, cool.
Charcuterie.
Just wanted to make sure I run that back.
Yeah, charcuterie.
It's French.
It's French.
It is?
Yeah.
It's French for
Gucci.
Gucci.
Charcuterie.
Charcuterie.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Cool.
We're trying to avoid having 18.
8.75.
Yeah, we're trying to avoid that. But yes, so we got that show. Real quick lineup. We got Carrie James. We got James Russett. We got Taj Jones. We got myself. We also have you. You're hosting the event. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate that.
Thank you. Why are you staring at me like that? All right,
This
so
is the proper way to have a podcast.
We're being good right now.
you're on your best behavior, and I really appreciate it. So, what do you have coming up?
I think this Thursday, May
Let's get past
2nd.
this Thursday because we're going next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they're gonna do a separate thing.
Yeah, that's fine. I got a show coming up at Patty's. Patty's in Fayetteville. I love performing at Patty's.
Patty's is an awesome spot.
It is one of the, I think it's the best venue to do comedy in, other than in a comedy club in all of North
It
Carolina.
has that feel.
Yeah, for sure.
What's that feel?
The comedy, like that. The curtain thing is big. To have that curtain back there gives it that comedy club feel. Just to set up the stage, that whole the ambiance.
It's got
whole
a good,
environment.
like, intimate, like everyone's in like an enclosed space. It's got like you said, a club feel to
Yeah.
it. It's not like a theater or anything like that. It's got more of like a smaller comedy club feel. And to tell you the truth, the people that go to Patty's are there first and foremost to have fun. Secondly is second as laugh. Like
Yeah,
they're there to get drunk and have a party first. So it's always a make or break situation. I've seen great comedians kind of leave going, I have no idea what happened. I've seen people boo comedians off stage there. It's a riot is what it is.
It's a great comedy spot. It's one of the few spots I will say that when they have their open mic night, open mic for comedians is horrible because you have 20 comedians trying to get on stage. You go up there, you don't know if your stuff is funny or not. You come off, and they're like, "Great set, man. That was
Oh, I
awesome."
hate that.
Meanwhile, you know it wasn't good
Why do you hate that?
because you know what? You know, we're not going to get into that conversation because we're going to stay
It'll be good.
into the
Okay.
the thing. But you don't know if your stuff works at Patty's at their open mic. You have a live audience, and the laughs you get there are
legit,
earned.
yeah.
They're earned. So when you see open mic comics go up there and they get a few laughs, that's big for a new comic.
Mm-hmm.
That is huge. That could be the difference between I'm never going to do this again and okay,
I'll work on it.
I could work on
Yeah.
it. So yeah, Patty's is definitely a good proving ground. We wish more people would come down to Fayetteville. Period.
Yeah.
Because we start at Sweet Palette. Ace Brown has places all around Fayetteville. There's a lot of comedy in Fayetteville. It's a good proving ground if you know where to go. And
Yeah.
Patty's is one of those places.
Okay. So how would one connect with either one of you two to be able to come down to Fayetteville to do shows?
Well, to come down to Fayetteville, you just got to take 95
South.
south.
Yeah.
South, yeah.
Unless you're coming from South Carolina.
That's true. But they got a good comedy scene too. Columbia,
Western side.
South Carolina. So they could get a hold of me at Dennis DENNIS _VEE75 on Instagram. They can reach out to me. I got things going on all the time. And I definitely like to get comics on shows that I'm performing as well. Sometimes I'll be like, I'll call the booker. I'll be like, hey, can I bring my buddy? And he'll go up there, do his thing. And next thing you know, he's doing a show at a brewery for 4 people and never do there again.
So you book and perform.
I book, perform, promote. I try to do a little bit of everything because the short time that I did work with Gable at Patty's booking, I learned a lot from the back side of the house. And there's a lot that goes into a comedy show. And it's a part of the business that I learned to appreciate. Which is going to lead me to my shameless plug. September 28th. This is way in advance. I'm going to have my own VFW show at the same VFW. And hopefully that's going to kick off the North Carolina VFW comedy tour. And this is where we're going to see the concentration of military veteran comics and maybe some fun independents.
Okay. So do you book and perform, or do you just stay in one lane?
One lane. Yeah, I usually just perform. I don't
You don't
really
do the
book any
booking?
shows. Yeah, I just go on other people's shows mostly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, where can people find you on your socials?
I got an IG. It's RJ Jurgensen Comedy. It's RJJURGENSEN Comedy. If I didn't spell my name right there.
Some
man.
Nordic guy's going to have likes.
He's like, actually, it's Jurgensen.
It's Jurgensen.
Yeah. You can find me there. I'm not really big on social media. I don't really post a lot of content. I'm still like just a normal person that's just like for friends and family. But if anyone wants to know anything about doing shows in whether it's like Fayetteville or just North Carolina in general, I can point them in the right direction.
Okay. So if someone were to book you, your information, your phone number is there, so everybody could just text you. And I could just put
I'm not gonna put my phone number out there.
I guess
That's
put
a
that out
no-go.
for real.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Actually, whose phone number do I want to put out there? Let me see real quick.
There's this guy we know just came back from Thailand.
Well, regardless, I still want to thank you guys for coming on the show, whether you feel like I wanted y'all or not. Hopefully we'll see you guys out May 11th for their big show, or you can catch RJ at various places, predominantly Patty's in Fayetteville. And you can catch Dennis at Truck Stop Haymont.
That's right. I do trivia there every Wednesday.
Nice.
Yep.
Next month, I'll be doing Singo at World of Beer every Tuesday.
Let's sing up.
Singo is like music bingo, but it's Singo for trademark purposes.
Oh, okay. Cool. Perfect. We'll go with that.
Yes.
But if you guys have nothing to do, they just gave you something to do. We'll see you guys soon. Bye. It's gonna be Mooyah. Okay, I got it out. All right, guys, that was torturing Brian with the Justin Timberlake, "It's Gonna Be May." So, it's the 18th episode of the Nothing to Do podcast. I also chugged a Celsius before I got here, so please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. It is May, and May is known for National Mental Health Awareness and Foster Care Awareness Month. So make sure that you check out the Art Gallery of Hope, which myself and Antonio Gonzalez, shout out to him, put on every May. We're on year 4, and we're going to be at the 226 warehouse, which is located right across from the parking lot from the Livery Cigar Emporium. Big shout out to Dre for letting us use your space to get awareness and get some art on and party for a purpose. If you guys need your tickets, I have them on my person, or you can go to the website. But other than that, please, please, please take care of each other. I guess you could say May is the month for nurturing, because Mother's Day, and then we're just nurturing our minds and our children that need us. It's been a packed episode, so I'm not going to talk your head off too much. For the people who do, the people who do are you people of Fayetteville that are keeping all these things as such, raising awareness alive. So until next episode 19, whoop, whoop, beep, beep, recorded at the Share Studios with producer Brian, your host, me, Dominique, and brought to you by Cumulus Media Group, Rock 103. Catch me on Sundays, Q98, 6:40 a.m., and Magic 106.9. Until next episode, here's something to do. It's gonna be May. Bye, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the Nuthin To Do weekly podcast, recorded at the Share Studios in Fayetteville, North Carolina, with your host, Dominique. And make sure to tune in next week, because it's only going to get better.